Specifically, customers in the service industry have got such opportunity to make huge gains, and we're seeing that. We've got some customers that are really leaning in heavily and early, and seeing the returns on that, Tom. So I'm pretty excited. And when you look at some of the stuff we've got coming up in the roadmap.
Hi, and welcome back to the Teams Insider podcast. This week we have Leon Wright. Leon works at Microsoft. He looks after Converged Comms globally, looking after SI partners and telcos. We get into his thoughts of the coming financial year for Microsoft. Of course, AI's impact on Converged Comms, where the opportunities are for partners to add value to customers, and also the relationship between the SIs and the telcos and who's really driving Converged Comms and that conversation. Many thanks to Leon for jumping on the pod. Awesome conversation. Also, many thanks to BCM1 Pure IP Enterprise Voice for all their support of everything at Empowering Cloud. On with the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Teams Insider podcast. Really exciting one this week. I spoke to Leon a couple of months ago at the bootcamp. We're going to a really good conversation in one of the evenings around where the market is and what's going on. And I said we had to get this on the podcast. So it's been a bit of a scheduling back and forth because Leon's the other side of the world to me. But we've got it in. So Leon, welcome. Do you want to just introduce yourself and your role?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. It's super to be here and great to chat to you again. And I just want to thank you for your contribution also to our kickoff call. It was so nice to have you as part of it and have the MVP community represented. So awesome to have you there. So
I appreciate the opportunity to share. It was fun to share with all the partners and talk about what's coming up this year.
Yeah, it's also nice to have that just that voice outside of Microsoft. That and I mean the one thing that I always enjoy, Tom, is that the MVPs hold us to account. And that's a good thing. We love that. That's where we thrive.
Appreciate that.
So that's good. Yeah. So just in terms of my role, so Leon Wright, for those that I haven't met, I have the wonderful opportunity to look after the Converged Communications practice. That's globally across SIs and telcos. And really, when I wake up in the morning, it's how do we do awesome things with partners? How do we drive opportunity for partners? How do we make you more profitable? It's about creating opportunity. I think as Satya always said it better than anyone, is we build products that other people do magical things with. And that's what partners do. They make us look good.
Yeah, and that's never been truer, I think, than Converged Comms, because Converged Comms can't exist without partners. Like some of the other workloads in Microsoft, like there's a big partner ecosystem, and then it gets kind of easier in the cloud and gets simpler. I think Converged Comms has gone on that same journey from OCS and Link and Skype servers, where we were running up, hundreds of servers in big environments, into cloud and business value. But Converged Comms, both with like kind of the Teams Rooms devices, the devices ecosystem, the carrier connectivity, and now with AI, really needs partners to help drive the business value.
Yeah, it's really important. And, I think every time you hear me talk, I'll say partners are our superpower. And that's truly where it happens. I was chatting to one of my partners a few weeks back. Someone, one of the partners I really rely on. If it's the kind of partner that if they phone me and say, "Hey, Leon, there's something," I get straight into engineering because I know something is wrong. It's just it's that level of trust. And we were talking about Converged Communications all up. And what was interesting to the point you just made, Tom, is Converged Communications is complex. Because it's not just the application. It's the application. It's you got to know application. You got to know networking. You got to go mobile RAN. You got to know fiber optics. You got to be able to take out a wire shark and do a trace. And for those of us a bit grey like me, you've put a sniffer on the line before. So you've got to really understand the technology, and I think that's what makes it really interesting. And now overlying the new opportunities, that's when it's really going to come to its own.
Awesome. So we've just had, as we record, Microsoft's end of last year financial results. So it's a storming year and very much powered by AI across the whole of Microsoft, like platform and product. And obviously that's in Converged Comms too. So what's your take on kind of, I guess, Converged Comms pre-AI and now well integrated to AI?
I see possibly the biggest opportunity I've ever seen in my career happening right now. not only across the segment, but in terms of converged communications. When I look at it, and I look at it from a converged communications practice, and we've got rooms, we've got places, but let's just look at phone for a minute. Is bringing the phone workload is the biggest workload behind Outlook. So behind email, it's the biggest workload. So bringing that legacy workload that's that big into the AI landscape and being addressable by AI, so you can bring it into your productivity picture, is absolutely critical. If I don't have my voice interactions within the AI real estate, then I don't know who Tom spoke to. I don't have a record of my calls. I don't know what I've promised to people or other people in the company. There's no context and no history. It's just a dark hole. So I think bringing that into the overall opportunity just is phenomenal, Tom. It fulfills that real estate and opens up so much professional services opportunity for our partners to go there and monetize.
Yeah, I've seen that. I mentioned it on the kickoff. Like, I'm seeing customers who have really got into Copilot and the AI journey, and actually that has stimulated let's get the phone conversation, because we obviously want the meetings and calling data in the AI conversation, and we want to have some of these things like intelligent call recap and insights into individual call productivity, and some of the stuff we're seeing now, the intelligent transfer notes. And I know there's more coming we can't talk about yet, but it's interesting to see it go kind of the other way. I was always out there driving the phone conversation. Now actually the AI conversation is driving the phone conversation.
It's such an important point, Tom. Is what I'm starting to see now is that pivot. The pendulum has truly swung. Okay, last year was just a year of just trying to get the channel sensitized around how important the AI was. Let me give you a prime example. We've got what we call our partner advisory councils, and this is partners that are really specialists in the field that we invite, and when we at least 3 times a year we'll talk to them in Redmond, get their feedback, and it's very straight feedback. It's like the MVPs. This is what we need to do. It's input into the product. And about more than a year ago, when I stood there and I said to them, it's a combination of AIs, telcos, it's all the different partners. And I said, so how important is AI in your voice journey and monetizing and driving your voice journey? And I got 1 or 2 putting up their hands, and others, not really, this is not. And I did that 8 months later, and it was a hard yes. It was we see it, we see how it's moving, and if anything's happened, we've seen AI really start to play a significant role in converged communications. That is only accelerating. You spoke about some of the stuff that we're busy envisaging of how this is going to really impact and make customers more productive, and I'm really excited to see that happening in the next few months, Tom.
Awesome. So what's your perspective on the partner landscape? Because obviously you have a very unique view of what's going on in terms of like how, we're over 20 million Teams phone seats, 320 million MAU for Teams in general. Like there's a combination. Obviously Microsoft have some direct touch with the enterprise accounts, but then there's telcos and SIs driving that conversation and those projects. What's the mix of all those components?
Yeah, it's a really important question that you ask, and one that I wake up every morning just kind of weighing up and seeing how we manage this, because the challenge and the opportunity is that different organizations have got different balance sheets, and what we're going to see, to get for a telco to take on AI and build new practices, and that is really hard. And some will do it better than others because they're structured in a different way. But generally, it's hard because your P&L is structured towards something different. Whereas an SI is a lot more agile and the ability to move and do that. So the way that I generally look at it, Tom, and it's just, I suppose Leon's view is, I'm not saying this is the way it does work, but the way I look at it is the SIs, and let's take voice. The SIs got got behind Teams Voice. They drove Teams Voice when there was a high level of complexity. So we got that first wave. The SIs drive it, till we get to a point that it's commoditized and really simplified. And then you'll see the telcos come on and we drive scale. But as we drive scale, profitability and professional services will drop off. Okay, so
because it got simpler in the cloud. We got things like OC, and everybody knew what they were doing. I think so. Yeah, the like my olden days of Link and Skype projects where it was like 8 weeks design to do this global infrastructure. There's none of that anymore because it's just a lot easier to do at scale.
Correct. And as you see, the telcos have come up and they've taken that on, and you're starting to see the step change in terms of velocity and scale now. And then the SIs drop off because they're looking for more profitable, more challenging, more complex stuff to go, and it's the way their business is structured. It's just the way they're wired. So they're going to look for different stuff. So they went off and did stuff. Now we've got Converged Comms and we've got AI coming into Converged Comms. And we're seeing now the SIs starting to step up again and starting to lead that fray in terms of how does AI get enabled in Converged Communications, and I think we're going to constantly see that wave. The wave is going to be AI, the next wave is going to be agents, the next, and we're going to, that's how we're going to continue. And I think it's always, and it's a good thing. It's just creating that momentum, and it's good for customers because the more we do it, and the quicker we're able to condense those curves, the cheaper it becomes and more impactful it becomes for customers. So I think it's a win all round. But how do we enable and how do we help the channel take this on, learn those new skills, and how do you monetize it? I think that's what we're grasping with right now.
I love that you brought that up because that was going to be one of my questions, because that is where the rubber meets the road for partners, really, isn't it? Like we're all excited about technology, but we also have teams to fund and bills to pay and profit to make. So where's that opportunity?
And I think we've already done some really good work on that, Tom. There was a few SIs and telcos that I worked with early on last year. And then it just kind of it took them close and said, "Hey, this is the AI strategy we have. This is where we're going." And the partners that really embraced that and took the AI and took their AI practice and built it into Converged Communications. So they had their normal AI practice and their Copilot work that they did, but they then wrapped the Copilot component in Converged Communications, and they merged those two. So when you're going and you're doing an engagement for an organization in the AI strategy, you're pulling Converged Comms through. And in the workshop, you're doing consulting for Converged Comms. And partners that have done that have grown their Converged Comms in the year behind us now, have grown their Converged Comms practices by more than 20%, all of them. So you can see the monetization. And I suppose more importantly than that is the discussion has changed. And I know you referenced this in your session too, Tom, but it changes it from a managed services opportunity to really sticky strategic engagement.
Yeah, I think it's so much easier. I spend a lot of time, not as much as you, but a decent amount of time talking to telcos and partners, and it's such a more business impacting conversation to come in and talk about integrating AI and how you engage with your customers and that business value conversation, as opposed to how many phones, how many rooms, like how do we optimize PSTN costs. Like that's obviously part of the conversation, but the way more impactful part if you want to get the business side of the conversation, because the whole world is being impacted by AI. So the business generally is aware they need to be doing something, and then that's the conversation they want to have. Yeah.
And I think there's, the partner ecosystem we have is just, we are blessed to have the best in the world. And when you combine the SIs and you specifically look at the telcos, they have the biggest opportunity to transform economies. The big telcos globally can transform the way businesses are working and operating. I mean, take the small business footprint that they have and the direct connection to those small businesses. And if you're able to take the AI value proposition, package it, put it in a tangible use case and drive it into that mid-market SMB, you can change economies. And it's going to happen.
Yeah, often it's SMB and mid market that can actually move faster on this stuff, right? They're not so tied down with lots of layers of management and scale and kind of change process. And actually, AI can bring them real tangible value in terms of saving time, increasing efficiency, better customer engagement.
Yeah, and I think so that's the opportunity, Tom. But this is also what keeps me awake at night is enterprises have still got the opportunity to bounce things around, test, and have that opportunity to do that. You can't do that in a small business. When you take it and you drop it down, it's got to show instant, it's got to be quantifiable, and it's got to show instant value from day one. So I think there's less room to experiment and to try things, and we've very quickly got to try and get to that market with real value.
Yeah, definitely. We've had the MCAPs kick off and the kind of sense of direction for the partners from that point of view. And one of the interesting things was this new AI business solutions kind of concept of bringing together the M365 conversation and the Dynamics conversation. And obviously for our audience, there's the Dynamics 365 contact center and a lot of the AI conversation happening in Dynamics. So how does it change things, if anything, that those two kind of business areas are in the same AI business solutions kind of strategy now?
I think what it does is it's good for the market and it's good for customers, Tom. What it does is bring the products together. It brings our go-to-market together. And let me just selfishly talk. I mean, obviously Dynamics is a much bigger business, but let's just talk about where it touches my business.
That's kind of what I want to get into as well.
Yeah. I've been working very closely with the Dynamics team for more than 18 months now in terms of getting close on, the contact center solutions, on the Teams Phone extensibility, how we're going to go to market. And, one of the things that you and I also chatted about, and I'm going to digress just a little bit here if you give me the latitude, is,
Please.
We always had contact center up here, and this was the intelligence sat here. And calling was always just, it was the dial tone, and we chatted, and there was, it's kind of, that's what it was. But very quickly, and this is one of the things that AI is changing, is you've got not only additional intelligence in the CRM and that contact center environment, that is just exploding in terms of the opportunity there. But what you're seeing is that intelligence is moving down into standard calling. So it's not just enterprise calling anymore. Those features that you used to see in high-end contact centers are now coming right down into calling. So the opportunity for a pleb like me to be productive, with a normal calling stack and the tools that I now have at my fingertips is just unprecedented to what we've had before. So, I think the impact that's going to have, Tom, and the collaboration is you're going to see the two products start to get closer and closer, and the integration. You've seen, our ecosystem partners, our extensibility partners, just that's going to allow, obviously, the intelligence, but it's also going to allow you to leverage that base. You spoke about the 20 million plus users we have out there. How do you take that base and how do you use that base for contact center and start leveraging that infrastructure opportunity that's there? So I think it's, it allows us to scale better. It offers better opportunity, and it's an easier experience for customers also. Other than the efficiencies we drive internally by doing what we've done, it enables us to much better approach the market, Tom, and partners.
Yeah, that's really helpful to understand. I think you're right. It's kind of a continuum now of you got Teams Core, you got Teams Premium adding extra value and kind of AI goodness, and Q's app obviously in this world very interesting. You've got the great ecosystem contact centers and then Unify certification and Dynamics, and it kind of feels like everything is kind of starting to overlap, as in there's actually quite a lot of AI value in the box that previously would have been gated by a $150 contact center license. It's now we can get knowledge workers, AI summaries, recaps. We can push that information into CRM. We can do some clever analysis on it. It's nice to see the value coming down the stack.
Yeah, I think customers, and specifically customers in the service industry, have got such opportunity to make huge gains, and we're seeing that. We've got some customers that are really leaning in heavily and early, and seeing the returns on that, Tom. So I'm pretty excited. And when you look at some of the stuff we've got coming up in the roadmap, and you said something interesting, Tom, is you said, well, let me not quote you. To me, it's built in, not bolt on. That is really important, is in terms of not only managing the capabilities and features that you're going to surface ongoing, but also managing the security around that. Is going to be super important, and increasingly so. The opportunity to manage things like fraud, things like, these are things that are becoming really important.
Yeah, it's funny in the kind of the instant messaging days, it was like our workload didn't have a lot of static data, so it was fairly transient. So we didn't have big conversations about data and archiving and security of that data. And again, now it's flipped on its head, like nearly everything is recorded or transcribed. So suddenly there's a lot of business data that's being used in all sorts of ways that you're right, it needs to be considered from a data and safety and security point of view.
Yeah, and I suppose the best testament to that, Tom, is you and I. I don't think I could work without Copilot anymore. It's become so integral to how I work, the way I work, the way I share. It's become a really important tool that I use daily. So it's very, very powerful.
Awesome. The last thing I wanted to touch on was like we talked about the SIs, we talked about the telcos, like partnership between those groups, because you at the boot camp, when you did your kind of keynote kickoff there, you talked about partnerships across different technology areas and different types of partners. Can you just speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, what we're seeing, Tom, and I'm going to talk across Converged Comms and Copilot now. We started off this journey, 3 years ago, where you would have seen, and you were part of that, is pulling how we pulled we had the rooms partners, and then we had the Teams phone partners, and how we started to pull those two communities together. Okay, and to cross-pollinate across those communities. And we've purposefully done that over the last two years, more than two and a half years. And we're starting to see the benefits of that. And it's for multiple reasons. We've got a very high attach rate from phone to rooms and rooms to phone. And when customers buy, it's about the customer's buying experience. When you buy, you don't buy rooms and phone, you buy Converged Comms. So how do we make it a better journey for the customer? How do we make it, the day two managed services? How do we improve that whole buying experience? So that was bringing the two communities together. And what we saw was there's some partners that, some of our partners that are just hardcore rooms, phone, rooms infrastructure partners, and others that are phone, and that was their swim lane. And the P2P motion has been great because they've partnered up. So instead of a customer having to go to multiple partners, they're working together, align their strategy, delivering together in customers. And what we're finding is they are passing off opportunities to each other also. If I'm a rooms partner and I go and visit a customer and there's a phone opportunity, I'm saying, hey, Tom, I've just been at Joe's Auto Spares, and you know what, there's a phone opportunity there, mate, let me introduce you, and vice versa. So that P2P motion is critical. And when you look across phone and rooms, now there's a third leg almost, is these infrastructure partners are busy building that AI capacity, and some of them are incredible and have done that already, but there's some that haven't, and it's expensive skills, and they're not readily available. So what I've also been consciously doing is making sure that I'm introducing those partners that have that appetite to some of the Copilot partners. So that you start creating not only the infrastructure P2P, but also the AI P2P. And then as they connect and they deliver together, and then it's almost like I'm going to use a mentored install methodology, as they see it, they learn it, and you get to build a practice and capability around it in a way that suits your balance sheet, and you can start to, and it's good for people also because you're not ripping and replacing. You're building and you're incubating and you're growing people. And that sits at the core of us as Microsoft. How do we grow people? So, that's why this is so important. That's a model that works for the balance sheet. It works for the people, and it drives growth, Tom.
Yeah, I love you referencing the balance sheet conversation there, because that's so practical to the conversations I'm having with partners, which is like, I 100% saw that too. Like some of the bigger players, like particularly the bigger rooms partners, have brought voice in-house now, but they still sub some of it when it's like complex. And there's these, specialist partners still around who are just, can deal with all the crazy long tail of the voice stuff that's complicated, low SBC on site and lift phones and modems and all that fun stuff. But I feel like it's a bigger jump from rooms to phone or phone to rooms versus phone or rooms to Copilot. So obviously there's some partners, as you said, that will scale up there, but I think it's a great partner opportunity, and it's a partner opportunity that you're probably never going to overlap with that partner as well. But also, so much of the AI conversation is a CX, is a customer engagement conversation, that actually, again, I can't see an AI conversation that doesn't touch on customer engagement, customer contact center, which helps the phone and rooms partner potentially as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what we're going to see is I see it as two steps. The first step is that they're wonderful. I mean, they're incredible infrastructure partners today, okay, across phone rooms and premium and places and all of that. So the next step is how do we enable, and I'm calling it a go back motion, Tom. You might have 200,000 seats of Teams phone out there, and you've done an incredible job, and it's working like a Swiss watch. But is it AI enabled? Okay. You need to go back to that real estate, and you've got to go and enable that and help those customers move and transition up and do that first part of the AI journey. And when I say first part of the AI journey, that is the part that I mean is built in. Go and do transcription, do translation, do query, do all of that stuff that's kind of just commodity AI that sits.
And it's kind of a good news story as well, because you're like, well, you invested in this platform. I told you it was going to evolve, and now, hey, I'm back. Look, there's a whole bunch of value we can get out of this investment you made. Like you say, right out of the box before you even talk about premium and TPE and contact center and everything else.
Yeah, so it's like an immediate. It's a whole new. Opportunity to your point, to just become more productive for customers. It's an opportunity to be more impactful and drive more monetary value for partners and scale up. And then once you've done that, there's another step. Is I've now gone and AI enabled tom.com and all your rooms and your phone and whatnot, and we've now at the point that we say, okay, that's running. Then you say, hey Leon, but I've got this service team out there that is just really battling. Tom, let's get into the agent world. Then we start building agents for you. And then we start getting into how do we support your business process by using all the beautiful infrastructure we've just built, but drop an agent on top of that and start to leverage the agentic solutions on top of that. Frontline workers comes to mind. There's just a whole bunch of opportunity, but I see that as the next phase. That'll take a little bit longer. There's some of my partners that are doing an incredible job today doing that. But that's going to take a bit longer. But there's so much on the buffet now.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Leon, for giving us some really good insights. It's nice to talk right at the start of the new FY and kind of get a feel for where the line is ahead. I'm really excited for some of the roadmap stuff that's coming, and just how much we saw AI impact last year and how that innovation will continue to accelerate and bed in. So I think it's going to be an exciting year for Converged Comms.
Yeah, it is, Tom. And I suppose what I would also just share with you is one of the things that we're trying to do, and you spoke about the boot camp that we did, is the old way we did engineering. And I've been in I've been in telcos, I've been in Cisco, I've been in Microsoft. I've worked in multiple organizations, and pretty much from an engineering perspective, they're all wired the same way. We go out, we build a product, we get it perfect, then we test it, then we release it, and don't you dare talk about a feature that we haven't got in backlog and it's confirmed. Those days are gone, Tom. We can't do that anymore. What I'm doing at the moment, and this was a bit of a leap of faith that we took last year in our NDA communities, and we speak very freely about what we're doing. What are the features we're coming up, and I'm very transparent. When I stand up there, I say, hey guys, we're going to share this, and I'm not saying that everything's going to hit the board and stick. Okay, we might have an 80%, we might have a 70%, we might have a 90%. I don't know, but I'd rather tell you high and early what we're doing, what we're thinking, and get your inputs too, than not tell you and surprise you later on. And we're sharing high and early, and that's been really successful for us. And I'm going to continue to double down on that.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, I really appreciate the engagement we get from everyone across Converged Comms, the kind of engineering and commercial side. And you say there's a lot of feedback taken from partners and customers around what's important to them and what the direction should be. And you see that bear out in the product over time.
Yeah, we really value the community, Tom. Feedback is a gift. It's it's we really take that as a gift. So yeah, please give it freely.
All right. Well, thanks for joining the pod, Leon, and we'll definitely have you on again, maybe mid-year or something, see where we are, and appreciate all the engagement and support as well.
Lovely to be here, Tom. Thanks for all you do for the community.